Most e-commerce brands struggle to grow not because they have a bad product or not because they're in a bad niche, but rather because they do not implement the right strategy for their e-commerce brand. And in this video, I'm gonna go over not one, not two, but 5 different strategies you can start using today to grow your e-commerce brand and Shopify store to the next level. And before we begin, just know I have personal experience with all of these strategies because just in the last 3 to 4 years alone, I've been able to scale over 103 e-commerce brands. That's right, 103 brands with a lot of these strategies. Mostly through my Google Ads agency, Euro Marketing, as well as my own personal brands. But strategy number 1, this is the complementary ad platform strategy. Now, what does this even mean exactly? This strategy is fairly simple where whatever complementary ad platforms are out there, you want to start using both of them or at least one of them first before going on to the next one, all at the same time or around the same time. Here's what I mean. So for a lot of the brands that we handle, we first start scaling that e-commerce brand only through Google Ads. We get them eye-dropping results. We basically scale it to levels unimaginable with consistency, and then when they have enough of a budget, we start scaling their ads on Bing Ads. We do not use Facebook, we don't use TikTok, Pinterest, none of that stuff. We use 2 complementary placements, and these are complementary because if you have ever used Google Ads, if you have ever used Bing Ads, you know these look pretty much identical to each other. They have the same kind of campaign types, they have the same type of campaign strategies. A lot of things are very similar to each other, and both of these are search intent based platforms, meaning your customers come to you. So obviously we can identify these 2 as complementary placements, but you don't just have to rely on Google or Bing. If you are already finding a lot of success with Facebook, maybe it's now time to expand onto TikTok ads, or maybe it's time to find another ad platform similar to Facebook where the overall campaign layout is similar, where you can add your winning video ad or winning image ad, all of that stuff to your now complementary ad platform itself. This is one of the easiest ways to scale because ideally, if both of these platforms are very similar to each other, they potentially have a lot of the same audiences. And even if they don't, if you have one winning ad or one winning video on one platform, you can expect it to do well on this other placement as well, especially if it's a complementary placement. So this is kind of the first strategy on the easiest way to scale and really get your brand name out there, really start seeing some traction. If you don't want to spend time, money, and energy just completely jumping from one platform to a whole new platform that has no correlation to each other, like for example from Facebook to then Bing Ads, or from Facebook to Taboola ads or something like that. But this brings us to strategy number 2, which is essentially the narrow, broad, narrow approach. What do I mean by this exactly? A lot of e-commerce store owners, they overcomplicate things. They try to go as narrow as possible. They go on Google, they try to do all this research to find the winning keyword which directly, specifically targets their audience. They fill up their landing pages with these words. They fill up their ad copies with these words. They even try to do interest targeting on platforms like Facebook, TikTok with these words. And let me tell you, this is really a big mistake because instead of just going narrow, 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 you should be going narrow, broad, narrow. What I mean by this is in the beginning, starting off with your landing page, yes, you should be very narrow. That's the first part of this equation. Be narrow, have the right words, have the right sort of colors, everything that matches your potential customer, everything that speaks to them, you want to have on your landing page. That's the first part of the equation. The second part of the equation is not narrow, it's broad. So it's narrow, broad. And when I'm saying broad, I'm referring to the actual interest targeting. So if you're using Google Ads, interest targeting is not something you can do. So you want to keep your keywords broad because with Google, your interests are sort of like the keywords that you use or implement on your landing pages. So your product titles, your product feeds, your Google Merchant Center optimizations, everything you do there, you want to keep it broad. If you don't use Google, if you use Facebook, TikTok, you want to keep things broad on that sense in terms of interest targeting. So for example, if you're trying to target specifically a door lock because you sell door locks on your website, instead of going on Facebook and trying to target door lock or just smart door lock or something like that, broaden up your horizon. Maybe just target people who are homeowners or real estate agents. You want to really broaden up and then work your way towards narrower interest and narrower targeting itself. This is the middle portion where your ads are basically getting reached to the right people. You want to keep this middle section very broad. And then the third part of this equation is narrow, which means the ad copy itself, you want to keep that narrow, you want to keep that targeted towards the right people. So with Google Ads, what we do for our e-commerce clients under my Google Ads agency or marketing or just my own e-commerce brands is we keep the copywriting within the search ads very narrow, or when it comes to the actual description that gets shown on Google Shopping ads side of things, we keep things very narrow, use very narrow keywords, SEO techniques, all of this stuff. So we're trying to keep things narrow. If you were using Facebook ads, you would want to have the ad copy itself or the video ad, image ad to be very narrow and speaking to your perfect ideal customer. But again, just forget about the narrow approach and rather take the narrow approach. This brings us to strategy number 3, which is the content plus the ad strategy. Now, it's 2023. Ad platforms are just competitive and it's very crazy out there at the moment. In this situation, it does not make sense for you and your e-commerce brand to fully focus only on ads. It doesn't matter if it's only Google ads, Bing ads, Facebook, whatever it is, you need to add organic content to the mix. Otherwise, you're gonna struggle heavily in 2023 and onward. Some of the biggest clients we're working with, which by the way are multi-million-dollar brands, which again, if you're doing $40,000 or more per month in revenue, you wanna be that multi-million-dollar brand or just scale to the next level with Google Ads, go to my website at euromarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can potentially work together and make that happen. But these multi-million-dollar brands, they're focusing about 50 to 60% of their budgets on making good organic content, YouTube videos, organic content on TikTok, posting in their Facebook group if they have one, all sorts of things that are organic to get them traffic that is good quality traffic. Because think about it, whoever is kind of interacting with this content you're posting with your e-commerce brand is probably somebody interested in your niche, and if they see your content enough, they're gonna be focused and interested in buying your products as well. So this next strategy is more of a broader approach, but start focusing on content along with pushing heavily on ads. This brings us to strategy number 4, which is focusing on free traffic. Again, let's face it, the time of just focusing on Facebook ads, Google ads, it's over. You cannot build a 7, 8, 9-figure brand just doing those things. Instead, what you should be doing is now you should be basically starting to put a lot of your eggs into the free traffic side of things as well. This means heavily focusing on SEO. This means going onto your Google Merchant Center and getting approved for the Google Shopping free listings program. This means just getting anywhere out there and getting your brand's name out there where it gives you the potential to get free traffic, because free traffic is the name of the game in 2023 and onwards. Without getting a consistent stream of free traffic, you're really not going to be able to scale to the next level. So ensure your strategy involves some sort of free traffic funnel in there, because in 2023 and onwards, without free traffic, you don't really have a brand. But this brings us to the final strategy, which you should definitely be implementing in 2023 and onwards, and this is the cold traffic on one ad platform strategy and warm and hot traffic on multiple platforms. To keep it very simple, what we do is once we find a winning platform or once we're scaling already pretty well on any given ad platform, we start focusing 80% of our budget on that, because unlike traditional tips and tricks, we do not want to just blindly waste money, especially on cold traffic on multiple ad platforms. At least that was what we do for our clients with our agency here, because we focus solely on Google Ads and we spend 80% of our budgets on cold traffic with Google Ads campaigns. But that does not mean that we completely ignore these other platforms, because truth be told, there's a lot of people out there on these platforms and there's a lot of the audiences that we could be reaching and sales we could be making on them. So instead, what we do is we get 80% of our cold traffic budget spent on Google Ads, and then 20% of our retargeting budgets, or just 20% of the remainder budget, we spend on Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, Etsy, Taboola, anywhere else where we deem fit, but only retarget there. So one platform for cold traffic, multiple platforms for hot and warm traffic. This is the best way to go because you want to get majority of that cold traffic coming in from that one major platform, and then you can start following them on every single platform that they visit, every single platform that they interact with. It's one of the best and winning strategies out there right now, instead of just going crazy, going everywhere on Facebook, TikTok, Google, because you then spread yourself too thin with your budget. And when that happens, you're really not able to capitalize on that one platform bringing you the majority of the results. So look into your funnel right now, look into your ad placements, see what is bringing you most of the results, and push more budget towards what is working. Lower the budget everywhere else and focus more on retargeting on those platforms. But these are my 5 simple strategies I've been finding great success with even this year, and this is what I'm going to be continuing to use for the upcoming weeks, months, and even years. But again, if you're doing $40,000 or more per month in revenue, you need just a little bit of extra help scaling your e-commerce brand to the next level. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can potentially work together and make that happen. But I want you to watch this video right here on my Google Shopping ad strategy I'm using for 2023 and onwards to scale even further.